Welcome back on Profumi di Nicchia. Today we are here with one of the most famous perfumer of the world. She has worked with all the most important brands, and today is here with us to tell a bit of a project that you started some years ago. So, welcome, Cecile. I'm very happy to have you here. It's a great pleasure.
Ciao, Matteo. Thank you for having me. I'm super happy to be there, and let's start.
Why did you become a perfumer? What happened in your life that brought you to this profession? And what happens after you finish the training or the school in Egypt? Tell me a bit of the story that me, like everybody, probably never heard about.
So actually, I didn't want it first to be a perfumer because I didn't know it existed. I was studying med school. I was in med school and I was studying medicine actually, and then I changed my mind. I didn't want to do that anymore, and then I met a friend of a friend, like completely random. But I would say that my life is really about encounters. And so I met a friend of a friend, and that friend was doing the school Izipka that I later did.
Okay.
That was the first time I heard about the school, being a perfumer and all. And so I was always sensible to smells, scents in general, not only perfumes. I really insist on smells because I was like, everything that goes in my hands is going under my nose, like the smell of paper, like notebooks, like old books, and all the scents that are related to that. I always smelling everything, and also through my friends when I was young, I was recognizing them through the smell of their laundry.
Okay.
Because it was like really them, their scent. But I never think about that as a future position. I didn't know it was existing, and so I discovered the school and a whole new world because I was really a newbie. I mean, I knew that word as a consumer and a young consumer, but I didn't know about the industry. And so I was doing my research about the different jobs that could exist, about the school and everything, like, you know, the classics, the perfumers, the iconic perfumes, and like studying all that. And I was really enjoying working. And I thought, okay, that's really my thing, because that's the first time that I'm having that fun working and studying. And I was just, I love learning along the way. And so I thought, okay, let's give it a try. And so I passed the tests of Izipka, the school. And
How many years? Like 3, 4? How many years?
sorry,
How many years do you have to stay at
it's
Zipcar?
so it to study to apply. It was just a couple of months actually,
Okay.
because I discovered like a couple of months before I had to pass the test. I succeeded, and then I went to the school to do my master's degree, and it's an apprenticeship.
Okay.
So that's how it all started in 2006. So I was lucky enough to work in creation, in formulation, like being trained by a senior perfumer
Okay.
in a fragrance house in a company called Robertet.
We met George Maubert. Landing in a world of such perfumery was adding to the scientific part, like a creative aspect that probably you miss when you work with drugs, with medicine. You don't have that creative
Well,
process.
actually, I wouldn't say that. It's not like in my daily work, meaning like the sciences doesn't do much
Okay.
in terms of creation. I mean, like just basic chemistry, like, okay, how it works, like regarding some chemical reactions, and like, okay, it's something that can color, for example, things, but it's really basic and it's not something that you need every day. But I think that being in med school and again having tests, and I would say that this is where I learned to work like more than 16 hours a day
Okay.
and to be efficient because it's also a competition. So to be the best and to that's I would say the rigor and to like attention to details and to be very thorough and organized and again learning how to work in a very efficient way. So this is when I learned the most about it, and this was really helpful to pass the test, and it still is.
Okay. What can you tell about this journey? Like, is something that I'm really curious about.
So I spent 4 years in Robertet.
Okay.
It's where I learned everything. So again, I was being trained by a senior perfumer, Daniel Morel, and also working with Michel Almerac, the perfumer, and starting in Grasse first, 2 years, and then in Paris, 2 more years. And then there was a merger with Charabot. And so I knew I couldn't stay because they fired 2 perfumers out of 3. Actually, they only kept 1 from Charabot.
Okay.
I was the youngest and I was the newbie, so I knew that I couldn't stay there. And then I was also looking for other positions, somewhere else. But back in the days, it was also right after the subprime crisis, if you do remember.
Yeah, I remember.
And it was hard. There was like 2-3 positions, perfumers position a year. And I was not a daughter of a client or a perfumer or had anyone connected. No network there.
Yes.
I was like nobody. I did have some relationship along the way during these 4 years, but that's it. And so it was hard to find a job as a perfumer at that time. And I couldn't stand doing nothing. I was really depressed. I was like, okay, it's not gonna happen. And I was talking to many people in the industry who really believed in me and who were really encouraging me and also pushing my, let's say, my file to some. So I was thinking, okay, I think I'm not stubborn and I should keep trying, but at the same time, I feel like it's never going to happen and I can't stay at home and do nothing. So I was asking around and about like people in the industry and like starting to write the pros and cons about being an independent perfumer and starting on my own. Because on one side I was like, well, I would love to learn more, to keep learning and to keep my training again and again to maybe and maybe later I will be independent. And at the same time, well, I don't have anything to lose. Yes. I can take risk. This is the time to take risk. I'm young. Let's give it a try, and then we'll see. And so I was thinking, well, I'd rather do like one thing, maybe one project, than just doing nothing at home. And still, it's gonna be useful, even if it's just one project. Mm-hmm. And so that's when I started like, okay, let's give it a try. And since I was working before in for many years in a fragrance house, so I had like 10 months to say if it was worth it or not to keep going like that. And like, should I just drop it or should I hang on and continue? And so that's what I did. Also discussing with one of my friends who was an illustrator. And so we're basically doing the same job, but using different tools and different medium. And it was older than me, like 10 years older, and it was very successful. And all of a sudden, same, because of the crisis and all the budgets were cut, and it was like having just a few projects, but not that much. And we were discussing together about our creation, clients, briefs, and how it works, and the how it echoes and resonates in each other world. And we were thinking like, okay, well, we should do something that is a product together that is personal and artistic to spread the word that we are there and to show what we're capable of in not a commercial project, but really, truly personal, artistic, and just to show, okay, how could we work together? So I was illustrating his work olfactively and reverse. So from one of my perfume, it was imagining it, picturing it with watercolors or on an illustration. So we wanted to explore that synesthesia, and also like, okay, no matter the costs, the commercial issues and all, no marketing. It's just like to do the best fragrance and the best painting accordingly. And so that started like that. And for me, it was like, okay, let's go back to this, to create again. Back to my time in Robertet. During my apprenticeship, I was lucky enough to work on brief and projects from the clients with my mentor, with Daniel. I was working on Amouage. And actually, I mean, back in the days, Amouage was really not that famous. No. So Daniel was telling me, well, I don't have time for this, and but let's just enjoy yourself, just be my guest and do your thing. And so I was working on it, and it was great. And there was also a competitor working against us and all the perfumers in Robertet. And at some point, I remember that because this is something that is very vivid and that explains maybe something. So back then I was very naive, I was very young. And I remember at some point of the project, so the creative director back then in Amouage, this one is very original and all. And then saying and writing like that, well, the price shouldn't limit the creativity of the perfumer. Don't tell me that twice.
I got 2-0 for.
I was very naive. So since it was written, I believed it, and I was like, okay, well then I'm gonna enjoy myself, and I'm gonna put all the beautiful, expensive, rare ingredients to do the best fragrance accordingly. So that's what I did. And I remember working on modifications during the project and talking to a senior perfumer in Paris when I was switching. Okay. And he was looking at my formula. We were discussing what we were spending. And then he told me like, oh, you put 10 grams of Vanilla Absolute. Like, woo, okay. They told me I could, so I did.
It was like €200 just for the vanilla.
It was like, yeah, it's super expensive. And like just one line was so expensive, the cost of just one line to the whole formula. And it was the vanilla and it was the Turkish rose oil. And I was like, yay. Yeah, I was not cheap. Okay. And I was, doing my best accordingly. I was expecting to work more. Again, like, okay, I'm sure we're going to have another round of modifications and all. And then they announced me that I won the project. And that's something I will always remember, because I really didn't expect that first to win, and then keep like, okay, it's finished. So I was so happy, it's the first win. And especially since I was not even an official perfumer yet, still being an apprentice. So, we have internal names. And so it's later than I heard that, okay, it's going to be called Epic Woman. And we're like, okay, that's a good start. That's a good
the first fragrance Epic.
Like, it's going to be Epic Woman. That's a good start.
You also talk about budget, but many people I talk with that has worked with you, the one who spent very good words on you was François Hénin. But
my first client as an independent.
He said, I need to find a perfumer that was as crazy as me to find a fragrance in summer, and I asked her a oud without oud.
Yeah, totally.
The other one in Italy, for example, I think about Riccardo from Musk, was in love with your amber notes, but also Roberto Drago from Laboratorio. He said that you are probably the only perfumer who 2 times made the perfect formula at first. But all of them are saying good things on you, on your professionality. And the only thing I really found common to all of this project is that you usually make very rich and deep fragrances. But with this, you did something totally different. I'm very curious about the way you change your habit to create a project such as Bossa. For me, the idea is that Middle East is one culture, European is another, Brazil is a totally different world. You succeed in all of these three different cultures. So, which is the secret, and how did you success to do this?
Well, actually, I mean, it's a good question. Well, actually, there's a explanation that I'm happy to deliver. What happened is that I told you that I started with Epic Woman, and then we were talking also about François Hénin with Jovoy. And so François was the first one to trust me and my first client as an independent perfumer. And I contacted François because back then he was the only one selling Amouage in France, in addition to Galeries Lafayette.
Okay.
François has a beautiful perfumery. Yeah. He has his own brand, Je Vois Paris, and many other brands. And so I contacted him because he was selling Epic Woman in his store. Epic Woman was selling very good, and it was a bestseller. So I guess when I contacted him, he was like, "Oh yeah, I do know. Of course, I do know Epic Woman." I was just explaining. Well, so I'm an independent perfumer now. I studied in Robertet, which was the company in competition with competing with me on my first project.
You won. So at the end,
well, I won this project, but starting against my former company
is not the easiest thing.
And the only one. He said, "Well, we have briefs. Come on Monday, and we will give it a try." That explained because he knew what I did. The only perfume that I created was Epic Woman. He gave me briefs, so I created private label and the candle. Ambre Premier, Amber First. I started like that, and then the other clients smelled my work and heard about me and wanted. And so one client led to another, and that's how it happened. But so back to Epic Woman, and I was briefed on many things. And at some point, and it was really the beginning of oud, actually, at the time, it was like, okay, I would like to have an oud like in a way a bit more Western that could please Western clientele, but to also bring that and to like not for oud lovers only, but to be accessible to another audience. So that's what I tried with a private label without any oud in it, but like an oud accord, let's say. And so my point is that from this to that, because people were kind of asking something that was inspired in a way of something that they liked. But actually, depending on the client and their projects, the whole point is also, I don't want to, even though I understand what you said, but my job is to really listen to the clients and understand what they want and what they need and what's the story they want to tell. And I have to adapt. So it's true that I did many ambery fragrances, but if you take, for example, Aqua Sextus for Jeune et Moine, it was the first cologne, very, very fresh, but not ambery, and that was very different. Or Chuchosan from MDCI it's a floral fruity. So depending on what the client wants, I just work accordingly. And to also answer your question, it's true that's what I like. I don't want to be in like just one put in a box. And so it's true that I started with Epic Woman and with an Oriental or ambery fragrance, and I had done many. But when I was you mentioned, so I was dreaming about Brazil. Like, yeah, that's
like everybody. Come on.
Exactly, and that's the way I am. Sometimes I was like, okay. Not enough challenges. Well, let's give it a try with Brazil. And it's the second biggest market after the US. And I was like really dreaming about it and like, oh, okay, well, let's find out. I would love to create for the Brazilian market. And so I was doing like my study, my kind of a market research and all. And then I understand that, oh my God, it's going to be challenging because it really doesn't work the same way. I totally knocked on the door they didn't know me. I mean, they heard about me through some people in between, like common relationship, like journalists. There were one journalist mentioned my work outside of the perfume industry. Actually, I was working with the spirits industry also with Pernod Ricard and Suntory, like big groups, and I was working for Havana Club, a Cuban rum, and also on a Japanese gin. And it's because of that job, actually. I was working on having an olfactory identity based on botanicals, on this specific Japanese gin. And then they asked me, that was also a different job and a new challenge also, to have an edible scent that you spray on top of cocktails. Yeah. This is a different job. It's kind of the same, but it's flavorist and it's not a perfumer. But I love learning and learn new things. And so I talked to other flavorists and, even actually it's the same companies usually like that are doing perfumes and flavors, but it's like two different opposite words. And nobody say yes usually to this kind of in-between work because it's different rules, different sets of ingredients and all. And so it's too difficult. But I was like, okay, I want to learn, I want to know. And so that's what I did. And anyway, long story short, because of that, I did this work. At the time, Granado was launching Zimbru, which is a fragrance based on juniper. Okay. Cissy Freeman, the director of sales and marketing, so heard about this job and me. And when I said, well, can I meet you next time I'm in Rio? She said yes, and that's where it started. And this story about Brazil is totally something else. That's something that is so special that everything that happened in that project was like new and unexpected and crazy. Yeah. I mean, Granado is not that famous in Europe and yet in Americas, North America. But in Brazil, it's huge. Yeah. It's really huge. It's not niche there in Brazil. And so for me, it was like, again, it's a very big brand. And so it was not the same approach. And again, not the same continent, not the same country, not the same culture in terms of taste also, prices, way of working. Also, I knew that when I was dreaming about Brazil and wanted to work for a Brazilian brand, I knew from the very beginning that I had to have a local partner there to manufacture the perfume, the concentrate. And so that was also something new and totally challenging. But yeah, I love challenges. So yeah, they're very different people. And I would say that regarding Cissy, I mean, it's a huge company and in such a beautiful and big brand, but she was very open-minded because I was nobody. She's used to work with the top fragrance houses, like the big guys, like really the giants of the industry. I mean, I'm talking Givaudan, Firmenich, IFF, all of them, the big one, and top 10. And I'm independent. I'm like, not the underdog, but like kind of, it's David against Goliath in a way. And but she was ready to give me a chance, and that's all I'm asking for, actually. Like, okay, it's a tender, and if it's not good, just don't take it. But please give me a chance, and we'll see. And she didn't care about, okay, being number 1 or number 2 or number 3 worldwide, but to have the best fragrance for this project. And that was Bossa. And for me, that was like, that's completely crazy. I wanted to do it, and I was aiming to that, but actually, back to the spirits industry, I thought, okay, when I understood how it was working in the perfume industry, I was like, okay, it's gonna be tough. It's like, in here, it's like I'm working for LVMH or L'Oreal or Coty. It's not accessible, not even accessible for an independent perfumer. It's not about having the best fragrance. It's just you cannot access it because you didn't put millions on the table, so you're not on the contract, so you're not able to just be one of the suppliers. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to start with the spirits industry because there was this huge craft movement, like gin craft movement, especially in Brazil. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to start with the spirits. And actually, didn't start with the spirits. And it started with Bosa and Granado. But again, it was a leap of faith, actually, truly. And I was really transparent and saying, well, I know that I have to have a local producer. So we're currently discussing. And then, okay, I was like, okay, let's go, guys. Let's rush the contracts, the whole, we have to agree on the whole ingredients, organ, the way of working and all. And then the COVID happened. So that was also like, okay, yeah, and okay, oh my God. Okay, and remember,
worst time of
that was like
of our
the whole
story.
planet. It's not like just a crisis, it was like
No.
the pandemic. She gave me this huge news, like, okay, I want the product. And I'm like, well, really? Oh, okay, let's make it happen, guys. This is happening. And my manufacturer, they didn't even have the Brazilian, number one Brazilian, but they didn't even have Granado as a client. That was like, yeah, that was really, really crazy. And when she said it's going to be Bosa, because it was not supposed to be, it was a whole range, and it's going to be this, with the whole illustration franchise and the name very powerful and all. And I was like, oh my God, am I living the dream? Now that it's been years and it's that successful, it became one of the top seller, like worldwide, in Brazil and outside of Brazil. And because that's one thing to win a project, and it was even huge. I was happy, okay. But maybe, okay, you won the project, but it's not going to be successful and it's going to disappear or just not going to sell that much. And then it became, again, this sales hit. It was worth it and worth believing in it. And again, back to your question. I think I just
appreciate the spontaneity of the answer.
I'm just taking that. It might sound silly or cheesy, but I'm just taking the time to really listen to the client, to what he wants, to his needs, to not about the market or the data or what I think they want. No, but like really, okay, what's the story here? And this is an important step because this is where everything is happening. Once this is clear, the brief is clear, and I think that's where I really take the time to really understand and to make sure that we are on the same page. That was for Brazil, but also you mentioned Roberto, François, Ricardo, and having it right from the very beginning, and it was also the same with Bosa. Because I want to nail it from the very beginning. Actually, I was explaining that to the client, and I think at some point it makes sense. It's like, it's gonna save both of us time to properly take this time right now to make sure that we understand each other. We are on the same page. And if it's not okay, we're just gonna rework. But if it's there from the very beginning, then okay, we're gonna fine tune it. But the idea, the vision is there, and then it's my job to just translate it into raw materials and in a formula. But I know precisely when I want to go and what we're aiming to, and once that is clear, then for me it's easy. And I think, and I know it was a bit confusing for some clients, and it was the same also with Amouage. Like, okay, they're used to so many modifications, and I'm like, I don't have that time. I'm independent. I don't work on a salary basis. So I need to be efficient.
One shot, one kill.
So I really need to understand it right as much as I can. I'm not sure that I can have that many relevant options that I can present. I'm really focused, and it's like, okay, this is what I truly believe in. And of course, we can talk about it. And if it's not okay, I'm going to do it all over again. But I think it's very important that not to be like, okay, in too many places at the same time, but I will keep digging something I truly believe in. And actually, so far, it kind of makes sense. And it resonated with all my clients for the past 14 years now.
So basically, if you are confused, you are confusing the client. So you have to be sure about.
Yes, and
what
it's
you're
also,
presenting. You
I
have to
don't
believe
think
in it.
like to give options, to give it a choice, but you don't really believe in it. And it's like, again, I don't want to waste my time. And I'm not sure that I can really offer many options that, and again, I insist, that will be relevant.
With
I
you.
can do something else and I don't believe in it. And just, okay, this is there. Like it's crap and this is good. And so you're going to be convinced. But this is a waste of time for me. So I was thinking like, okay, let's try to nail it. And actually, I can understand that it was a bit confusing and it happened with so many clients when I was explaining like, okay. And then I had the same testimony like, okay, let's give it a try and then we'll talk. And if you're not convinced, I'm going to work. It's not like I don't want to work, but wait and see. And actually, I think, again, it's been 14 years, and I think it happened like 3 times that I had to completely
Change
did
the
it
project.
all over again. And usually, I'm quite fast. You don't have that many modifications, and then it's on the market.
But one question for Bossa, which was the brief of it?
So Bossa, I mean, there was also other things, but Granado told me about their needs and what they wanted. And Cici, I will always remember, well, like, okay, what is good with you, Cecile, is that you don't think like the market expect that or we want that. Well, now that I think it could be very interesting. So we need this, and started to give me briefs. And one of them was about working on a coconut.
Okay.
Because Granado was looking for a coconut note in their portfolio for many years, actually. And and that was, again, back to the challenge. Well, okay, you want to work with us? Well, be my guest and work on the coconut. And so that's what I did. And I was trying to, think about doing my research and, okay, what do they want? What I think I could bring? And yeah, then it became Bossa. And from the very beginning, like no chops.
No changes.
No. And
So you
it
did
was
again.
supposed to be just one
After
perfume for
that,
Febo, actually, like the niche of the group. And it was not supposed to be Granado. Then it was Granado, and it was the Eau de Toilette and the whole line, the whole range. So because they really, really liked it, and here it is.
Your next project, which part of the world you miss to explore? You basically go to Japan with the Japanese brand, or?
Well, of course, I'm working with Granado. It's ongoing, and stay tuned. Nothing much I can reveal.
Okay.
And part of the world. Well, would love to explore more of Asia, of course. Also Australia. That will be very interesting. But no, I'm kidding, but in a way. But yeah, I think for me that's also what is very interesting. I don't want to stick to just one market. And again, I think I'm lucky as an independent perfumer because usually it's like, okay, you do this, and that. But I think because that's what really drives me. And as you said, I have created Bossa for Granado, which is a Brazilian brand that is totally different from Amouage and the Middle East market and the whole brand. And in terms of taste, prices, budget, everything. Yeah. And also same with Europe. And so this is what I like. I like to explore many things and
Challenge yourself.
yeah. And I think also this is virtuous circle also, I think. It's because you don't stick to one thing and you discover other cultures, other people, way of thinking, and then it's also nurture my creativity.
That's beautiful. Cecilia, I will keep you here for other 4 hours, but unfortunately we have to go. So thank you very much for
Thank you very
your
much,
company
Matteo, for having me.
and this
Grazie
chat.
mille.
And I hope to see you again sooner or later. Maybe this year at Exas or
Sure, whenever you want.
if we can rearrange, I will be very happy to host you here
Same
again.
here. I would love to.
Thank you very much.
Grazie mille.
I hope you enjoyed Cecile's speech and Cecile experience. And I just tell her thank you very much. Thank to you and see you at next episode. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.